Welcome to LegacyCast, your source for hearing from top influencers, industry experts, and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is LegacyCast. Morning, LegacyCast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, coming to you here in North Texas. I've got a good buddy here, pardon the pun, good buddy, fellow veteran, buddy Lee Dobberteen, and he's coming to me. He has a 501c3 that helps veterans in a really unique way. It's something that I'm totally in line with his thinking here, because what he's doing is, excuse me, it would be what you'd call music therapy, and he helps veterans get into the music scene either through learning how to become recording engineers, doing things of that sort, how to set up the recording studio. And back in my past life, a lot of people don't know that I actually had a music career myself, and so doing the studio things is huge. There's a lot that goes into it. There's all of the mixing, the editing, the gear, all that stuff. It's you don't just wake up and know how to do it. And so without further ado, let me get buddy on the program here. Welcome to the program, my friend.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm just really excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. And like I mentioned, you're a veteran, and so we all who are veterans, when we signed up to be part of something that was bigger than ourselves, and that's really a good way of describing a legacy, and that's part of why I enjoy having so many veterans on my program here at LegacyCast, is because we really get it. We get being part of something bigger than ourselves, and we get that each person's going to have their own interpretation of legacy, but we all want to put into something, and we want to build up something bigger than ourselves so it can last for many generations. And what you're doing, buddy, is another quite literal example of that. You mind telling us a little bit about what you're doing there with your program, with the music therapy, and what that means to people?
Absolutely. When I come home, I was lost, suicidal, broken. I made a plan to commit suicide, and literally days before, I was like, one day I was sitting on a bed with a 45 and saying, man, I'm tired of living. All my disabilities from being combat wounded and injured just took over, and I said, I don't want to live. And a buddy literally called me and said, hey man, why don't I come get you and let's do some songwriting for a week? So we did that, and it was just like, wow. And then he's like, have you ever worked in the studio? Could you hit play? Would you hit space bar with Pro Tools? And then he started showing me different things, and before I knew it, I wasn't thinking of anything. It was so technical, honestly. It was so far I thought I could never grasp it, that it took me so engulfed, where there's things out there for guys that want to write songs. There's guys out there who want to play guitar. There's not very many things out there for guys who want to learn to record. What if you can't play an instrument? What if you can't sing? You can still get involved in the music business. I mean, you don't have to be musically super gifted to be a recording engineer. I went to Berklee College of Music, and my instructors there said, hey man, why don't you try to develop a program? I had a hunting ministry, which takes guys, tells them about Jesus, and takes them hunting. Why don't you do that with music? And I thought, man, that's just too big. There's just no way I'll be able to do it. So a lot of guys came alongside me and mentored me. It wasn't somebody telling me, hey, you got to do this. It was someone saying, hey, you do this. Now follow me. Not do what I say, but do what I do. And so we started a mentoring program where we said, hey, why don't you we're going to come alongside you. We're going to teach you a lot of different variances of how to get a job, like electronics, repair, because all that goes involved in the studio and technology. And let us come alongside you and let us teach you and train you. So, because I'm going to be honest with you, there's a million programs out there giving veterans handouts, and it's destroying I believe it's destroying the veteran community with all the handouts. We need to be giving veterans hand-ups, help them get out of their situation, not just give them $10,000, but come alongside them and say, we're going to give you $10,000. Here's what we can do with it with you, and actually guide them. And we need more guiding factors, not just here's a bunch of money, throw at it, or here's one hunting trip, but constant discipleship and constant mentorship.
You're absolutely right, and I mean you touched on so many key and important points there. Yeah, I wanted to point out a few of those. You were talking about just giving the veterans a hand up and not a handout. That's such a powerful thing, because a lot of the problem, especially as I've seen through veteran suicide, part of that is not really feeling like we have a purpose. We come back from really knowing how we fit in. We're part of a community where we knew what our job was. They had handed us our mission. We knew how to go out and execute it. We were part of something. But then we come back to the world, and it's like, okay, we're not part of that community anymore. And we didn't really know how we fit in the civilian world, because how do you interpret and translate all of that into the civilian world where people don't get it? And so
exactly.
Feeling lost is a huge part of what would drive the veteran suicide. And so helping our brothers and sisters to know how to do something, and you were mentioning walking alongside in the mentorship. It's like the saying, people don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. That's huge. Yeah. And when you put that and inject that into a program, that's going to help the veteran suicide rate as well, because they know that somebody cares. And when you feel like somebody cares, you're not alone anymore. And when you're not alone, you're not thinking about taking your life, because you're part of something again. And so it's all cyclic. It kind of brings you back into that good cycle again. So it's huge. It's really huge. And I love that you're talking about helping. You're mentioning before we came on the air that part of your goal is to with your program, being 501c3, and it's 100% volunteer. So all the money is going straight into the program and not going out for frivolous stuff like so many programs do. But also that your aspirations are to help and pay the veterans that are part of the program, to help them, help with the gas expenses or whatever, so that it's completely free and clear of expenses for them, to take the program, which is another huge thing. Because financial stress is one of those other things that drives the divorce rate, and divorce drives up the suicide rate, and so it all it's all intertwined.
We have so much. I live here in San Antonio, and there's a few amazing programs. I'm not going to name on the air that are great, but you have to use your GI Bill to do them, and they cost like $7,000 to $10,000 a year. Which, understand, the instructors need to make a living, and great for them that they have that. But I believe that when I was given 100% from the VA, that God gave me a purpose, and that purpose was to go out there, and I believe everyone's called to work. Like, you don't necessarily have to go to a job 9 to 5 to work. You could volunteer in your community. Your service is never done, and it's never vacation time. Because I tried that, and it leaves you boring, feeling unfulfilled. I mean, we had a veteran come to our recording studio, and he kept saying he wanted to record a song for his daughter, and he wanted to be really good. And I'm like, back then we didn't have a lot of gear. Now we have, a substantial amount of gear. We have probably as good as any recording studio out there with quality of gear. And back then we didn't. He kept saying, I want this to be really, really good. It's got to be really, really good. Finally, I just said, dude, what's the deal with this really, really good? You got to tell me. And he's like, he gets choked up. And he says, you follow me. And we went out to his truck, and he had bought a little ladder, about a 4-foot ladder, and an anchor rope. And I said, what is this? He's like, well, I made a plan to commit suicide after we did this song. This song was for when my daughter got old enough, she would just kind of understand how I feel. So some partners of the program, not us at the time, because we weren't set up, went and got them involved in a local outreach, the San Antonio Vet Centers, and got them involved in a thing, and their family's thriving. And I saw that, and I said, "Holy mackerel! We saved one life today." That's when I started reaching out to our partners at Telefunken, Great River Electronics, David Perlman, especially ADK, and there's several others out there that just in the audio industry that really helped us. Neve, we just reached out to Neve, and Neve said, "Yeah, we'll give you a huge discount." And part of the things we're doing now is a lot of the electronics training we're doing is building gear for our studio that they're going to be using. So the veteran is actually building gear that he will be using in the studio and making his living. So later on, whether he wants to go into possible gear development or anything like that, we have that. And it's all like, it's not, like I said, the idea of, doing all these fun things for veterans and stress relievers, that's great. And that's a small Band-Aid. Right. That may be a small Band-Aid. It may be a tourniquet. But the rehabilitation and actual going in and affecting their lives is what's going to stop them from suicide. You may be stopped an attempt, but have you changed their direction? Right. We want to change their directions. And I did the take veteran on a hunt, and we had a vet go on a hunt and 6 months later committed suicide. And, someone asked me, he goes, "What was your follow through like?" And I was like, well, I never really heard from that vet again. We took him on a hunt. We treated him like kings, but that vet went home and he said, "Oh, I had a great time." And then reality set in. You're going to get a text from me sometimes at 11 o'clock at night when I feel that God telling me, "Hey, reach out to those guys," or whatever, and say, "Hey, man, sit rep." That's all I'm going to say is sit rep. If it's late at night, sit rep. And I've had guys come back to me and say, "Man, I was just feeling really low, and I got this text that said sit rep," or a funny meme or whatever. They laugh at me because I say it wrong. Or get a funny meme like, "Hey, turd face," or something, like just when you get it, you're like, "Ha, what an idiot." And you just laugh and you go back to bed. It just kind of, it's brotherhood. It's like you said, feeling a part of something.
Yeah. And, another really powerful part of the program that you're doing, like the saying goes, you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
Yes, sir.
That's what you're doing here. It's not just, the handout. It's getting someone a skill so that they can go out and create a lifestyle, from this. And at that point, you feel empowered. I know, we men, we being able to provide is such a huge part of our makeup. God made us to provide for our families and protect. And when you have a skill, then you're able to provide and protect. And so it gives purpose, and that's huge. That's really huge. So I commend you for what you're doing there, man.
One thing that really that we really do is, as I have a lot of people tell me, "Man, you're awesome. I could only if I could do something like that." Well, I want them to know I'm not awesome. And like, all I do literally is if you can take care of one brother, don't make your mission to go out and reach 500 people. Don't make that your mission. Make it your mission. This next year, I'm going to impact one veteran's life. One. And if every veteran reached out for only one veteran, just one. I'm not saying 5. I'm not saying 10. One. How many veterans are there out there? And if everybody's reaching out for their brother, it's going to start building that relationship again. I started this, and I said at one time, I had 2 friends that I knew were suicidal, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to reach out for those 2 guys." Mm-hmm. And as those 2 guys started coming along, they said, "Hey, how can we help? How can we get involved?" And then it's just like I didn't do anything. It's just like it automatically, if you go out there and try to reach your brothers and sisters, automatically it's just going to naturally evolve. I mean, just affect one brother, just one.
Yeah, and so often, we build up these visions of what we want to accomplish, And you're touching on that of we want to save the world, or we want to save all of our brothers from committing suicide, so we can get rid of the 22 a day epidemic that's going on. And it's a great vision, but if we try to go out and do just that, we're going to end up failing because it's so overwhelming. It's such a
Right.
task. But from what you were saying, it's absolutely true. Today I'm going to save one person, and then you do that tomorrow, you're going to save one person, and by the end of the year, you've saved many people, many more than you could have thought was possible at the very beginning. So it's making it, it's like the saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? You do that one bite at a time. That's exactly how you do this. And, it's just little bits at a time. It's achievable bits at a time, small victories. And at the end of it, you've created huge difference and a huge legacy for yourself.
I loved, I'm a vivacious, or however you say it, vivacious reader. I can't read because I'm actually going legally blind from my injuries in Iraq. And, but I listen to audiobooks, and I just listened about Chesty Puller, and he talks about small victories. And you start, like you're saying, those small victories lead into just enormous victories. Right. Like the VA, they had me on 22 meds a day, 22 meds. And I sat down with this doctor that I didn't trust, because he was from a foreign country that I've been to, in a religion I didn't believe in. And I instantly thought, this guy's a bad guy. He's a bogey. And instantly he started showing so much love to me, and he started taking me off these meds, and I'm going, man, this guy's trying to mess me up. Well, at the end of it, I started feeling a lot better. When I was on 22 meds, I'm down to like 7 right now. I mean, and he's like, all these things are eating your body up. And, that doctor just made his mission to just do one small thing. And he would do these like adjustments where I'd say, does this guy even care? He just moved my medicine like just a smidgen. And next thing you know, I'm like, I'm feeling a lot better. I mean, small victories.
That's right.
Rome wasn't conquered in a day.
That's very true. Very true. And at the same time, through Christ we can accomplish great things. All things are possible through the power of Christ that powers me. And so, that's exactly how we can change the world, is just those having things in the right place and doing it for the right purpose. When you're thinking about legacy, though, buddy, what's the first thing that pops in your mind? When I opened up, I had mentioned, there's so many different reasons, that people will think of when they're thinking legacy. What's the first thing that pops in your head?
Honestly, I remember, I hope she's watching, and I'm going to have to send it to her, is I had a teacher named Robin Hutton. And I was just a punk kid, and she reached out to me, and here I'm this redneck, love to hunt, fish, in a little bitty town. I think my class was 12 people in her class. Wow. And she started introducing American literature to me, and I refused to listen. I was like, I'm not doing this crap. I'm not listening to all this foreign hibla. And I started reading all this different literature from all around the world. And every year she showed she cared, even when I didn't care. My sister was brutally murdered, and her babies were murdered. And this teacher, through that time when I totally gave up, she never gave up on me. And her and my old football coach, Terry Conklin, in Burr Oak Community Schools in Michigan, they never gave up on me. They put a boot in my butt, and they said, you're not going to quit, you're going to graduate. One time I was going to quit school, and it's a funny story, but, they have a legacy, and their legacy through me, they impacted me. Now I'm impacting other people. Now the crazy thing is I'm seeing other people impact other people that I've impacted. And that, to me, that is more fulfilling than any money I've ever made, any song I've ever written, is seeing people impact other people in a positive way. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. But some of these people are not Christians and they don't believe in Christ. But it doesn't mean they can't impact the world for good, because we're called to love. We're called to love. That's my legacy, is I want to tell people, because I used to be a hateful person, man. I wasn't always like this. And, man, seeing my brothers fall and knowing that, how am I going to live for them? Because anyone can go die for someone. That's stupid. But can you really live for them? Mm-hmm. You might be sitting at home thinking, man, I got to commit suicide because I lost Joe or I lost John. He was my best friend. I lost a lot of friends, probably close to 30 between 3 tours, guys that I knew and I loved. But I had someone come and tell me, how are you living for them? Are you truly living for them? Are you just going to sit in that couch, swallow a pot of pills, or stick a gun to your head? Or are you going to truly live for that person? How much did you love that person that died? Because if you truly love them, you're going to live for them. That's right. You're going to spread that legacy. You want that person's legacy not to die with you, but to go on through your kids and their kids and their kids. We tell stories of World War II, World War I, because someone lived through those legacies. Those guys from World War II, Chesty Puller, John Basilone, or however you say all their names. We're living their legacy. We need to live our buddies that fell's legacy. We don't need to put a gun to our head. We need to live for them.
It's true. The stories of what they did can only be passed along if we tell that story, and we can only tell the story if we're here. And so we can be part of their legacy living on, by being able to tell other people what they did and then living for them. Like you said, it's the best gift that we can give to a fallen brother is to be able to live for them, and then be a changed person because of what they gave to us. And it's huge. It's so many people that I've talked to, especially civilians, they don't understand why it's so easy for a veteran to commit suicide. And the best way I can explain it is when you're on the edge of the cliff, it only takes one small step to go off. And,
not a big one, a small one.
Yeah, and it's so easy to take that step. It's for veterans, like we've seen and done things that most people shouldn't have to see or do, and so taking that one step is an easy one. We've done a lot harder. That's easy, and taking that one bad step is sometimes seems so much more peaceful, and it's like just this one thing, and I'm going to be good. I don't have to hurt anymore. I don't have to hurt anymore. But we can't think that way. We have to be tougher than that, and to live for our brothers, and live for ourselves, live for our family. And you were mentioning the teachers, high school teachers that you had, living for them, because part of their legacy is in you, like you said. You're changing lives, which is part of their legacy. They imparted into you, and they fed into you some things that has lasted all these years. And now you're changing lives, and the people that you're changing are changing lives. So that your teachers and your coaches' legacy is continuing, and it's growing every time you touch someone. And so it's not just about us.
Yeah, I rarely did interviews, and people say, "Well, how come we haven't really heard about your guys' program?" Because as a 501c3 person that founded one, not just me, but a lot of, just in general in life, you see a lot of people reach out for hands on their backs, pats on their backs. And I'm just, the greatest gift I've ever received is seeing the family of that guy that was going to commit suicide being reunited. Mm-hmm. Like me, and they emailed me this year a thank you, and that'd been 3 years since we had done that. And just to think, in that 3 years, how many memories he shared with his daughter and his son. I'm sure they're not all perfect, and it's not happy ever, go lucky ever, perfect, easy. Now he didn't commit suicide, so life's easy. But this guy's in the fight, and he had another baby boy. And just to think that he was able to, continue on with life, because it wasn't me, it was other guys here, but one person cared. Just a small little thing is sitting down with a guy asked to write a song, and just to say, hey man, come on, I'll write a song with you. That simple. And a lot of people think, well, I'm a big rock star or whatever. Like lately I've been having a couple real famous Texas musicians, reach out to me, like Kevin Galloway of Uncle Lucius and Cody Canada of Cross Canadian Ragweed. Those guys have reached out like, hey man, if you ever need anything, just let me know. Like seriously, and we started sending veterans to their shows and working with the stage, like Mickey and the Motor Cars, a Texas band. We sent a veteran to work in the sound one-on-one with Travis Neal. And that's just little things, basically you're getting free labor, but that veteran to get to work with a superstar like those guys, that's something he'll never forget.
That's right.
And if you have an ability to take a veteran under your wing, you will never know what you can do. And it's just a small gesture. Like you could be an actor and you could say, hey man, why don't you come have lunch with me someday and see how I act? Or if you're a radio personality, you could, hey man, if someone reached out to you, hey, I'm interested in doing a radio show. Somebody got you involved. I mean, and we all got to think how in the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Coast Guard, you never did anything individually. You did it as a team. And one of your NCOs showed you the first time you used a radio, or first time you called a 9-line, or the first time you called for fire, or, stormed a hill. Somebody gave you orders. That's what we need to do for each other.
That's right. That's right. The only way we're going to be able to fix this is to all come together and fix it as a team.
And it's not your nonprofit, my nonprofit. Those are my veterans. Those are your veterans. They're veterans. And I'll work with any nonprofit. If you're a nonprofit out there and you say, hey, can we join together? Just say yes. We'll do it. If you're about helping the veteran 100% wholeheartedly, I will work with you. If that's it. I mean, there's just too much, like you said, we got to work together.
Now, when you were setting up your program and your business, what kind of hurdles did you have to overcome in setting that up? I know that there's hurdles for everybody, but what did you encounter when you were setting it up?
I actually found it's going to sound absolute crazy, but I found the IRS to be an amazing help. We built our nonprofit and we went to them, and we went to our local business councils and there's a small business administration, National Small Business Association. And we went out to them, and those people bent over backwards to help us out. We used our local resources. I called local accountants and told them, hey, I'm in your community. If you could help us get a nonprofit, we're going to impact people in your community. Not, we're going to help people all across the country, but we're in your community. And you'd be surprised how many people would love to help a veteran, but they don't know how.
Right.
So if they're an accountant, the first thing people always ask for is a financial donation. I want money, 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 money. But if you ask a person, hey, could you help me fill out 3-4, because it's only like 5 or 6 forms, you have them fill it out. Normally they charge you $1,000. You ask them, hey, could you help me do this? Where I'm going to help a veteran, I'm sure you'll get somebody to help you out. The biggest thing to do is accounting. I don't have a lot of volunteers. I do a lot of stuff myself, and now we're just really building our volunteer base, is making sure that you keep documentation of everything, every little. If you think it should be documented, document it. And then use your resources. I mean, there's resources out there everywhere. I emailed every company in the audio industry at least 15 times. And one of them, I reached out to the general managers and stuff, and I said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And you'd be surprised how helpful people can be. Prime example, I reached out to, at one time, I didn't have a preamp to record someone. I reached out to Great River, and Dan Kennedy from Great River said, yeah, we'll help you out. Here's a deal we can work out. I have a nephew that was a Marine, and here you go. Now, I'm not saying this for everybody to reach out to Dan Kennedy because, give him a preamp, because I guarantee he's probably not going to be able to give everybody out there a preamp. He might be able to sell you one at a discount. But use your resources. I mean, there's so many tools out there. There's millions. Like, I looked up federal grants, and there was every year there's $900 million that doesn't get used in federal grants. Grants that are there that people never applied for. That's huge. So if you wanted to learn to be a grant writer, you could provide enough income for you could even make money doing it in local areas. I reached out to our local Home Depot for equipment to build a sound booth. Our local Home Depot is like, do you mind if it's a little crooked wood? They gave it to me. Here you go, free. Just doing the legwork. Don't be afraid to call someone. What's the worst thing someone can say? No.
Yeah, that's true. And so many people want to help. By nature, it's human nature to want to help people. It's really uncommon for people to just not want to help. And especially with mentorship, people that have been where you want to go, those are the people to reach out to. Someone like you're mentioning, the people that own the music businesses or that own this particular business or that one, and just reaching out to them and asking for their assistance. You're mentioning with the CPA and the accounting is just reaching out. Can you help me do this? Can you help me fill out this form? And people will help. It's being able to impart knowledge to other people. Is self-gratifying in a way. Also, it makes you feel good about yourself. To be able to help other people. And so, it so often I hear people not want to ask for help, and I personally, I'm a proud guy. Asking for help is probably one of the last things I want to do. But at the same time, if I don't, then I know that I'm going to struggle. I'm going to run into the same problem over and over and over. I'm not going to solve it. But if I ask for somebody to assist me and to come alongside me, then I get the problem solved in a fraction of the time. It's going to end up saving me huge money down the road, and that in turn I'm able to put back into the business or put into a program or a project and be able to help lots of people. So it's swallow the pride and ask for that help, because you're going to get a lot further along. You're going to achieve the goals that you want, and then you're going to be able to bless other people in the process, and that's huge.
We recently reached out to like I said, a pretty famous musician. They had a program. I know every year they did a fundraiser, and I said, possibly could we get some help from y'all? Could you possibly, sign something? And they said, absolutely. We'd love to do anything you need, anything. And that's a School of Rock in New Braunfels, Texas. I reached out to them, and they said, sure. Well, last week they had me go up there, and they brought out this looked like Happy Gilmore check. And I'm looking at it, and I thought it said, because I don't see well, I thought it said $500. It said $5,000. I asked for an autograph and got $5,000. Not that that's going to happen every time, but that $5,000 is going to help train over 40 veterans. That's going to provide income for 3 veterans for a week. So, I mean, plus all that, plus everything we needed because I asked for an autograph. You never know what you're going to be blessed with. Just a lot of time, I'm not going to sit here and quote the Bible every 5 seconds, but the Bible says, pride comes before the fall. Mm-hmm. You may wonder why your business is failing. You may wonder why you're not being successful. Have you asked? Yep. Have you humbled yourself? And that doesn't matter. I'm not even saying that in a biblical point, but in a reality factor. Mm-hmm. We asked Little Caesars, several years ago, could we possibly partner with you? because we were doing this program taking veterans on outdoor adventures.
Mhm.
And I was praying. I said, Lord, if we could get $1,000 from them, it'd be great. They gave us $20,000,
Wow.
and we were able to impact over 50 veterans with that 20 grand. That's just two small examples, and I'm telling you, I've gotten a lot of no's. And don't be afraid to get no's. I think no's build character, because a no isn't always a no.
Yeah. So often, no just means not right now. And I've learned that over the years is it doesn't mean that they don't want to help. It's just right now maybe not the best time for them. But it could be a yes later. And worst case scenario is if it truly is a no, then it's still a good thing, because it tells you, okay, this isn't somewhere I need to spend any more time on. So I'm saving more time by getting that no, because I can move on to the next one. And just having that positive frame of thought is, okay, this person said no, that means I can go to the next person. Or even with people that have clients, if you get that no from a client, that's okay. That just means that you have time to help the next person that needs you. And so just always keeping the positive frame of thought and moving forwards. Now, you were mentioning the small business as one of the resources. Were there additional resources that you would recommend maybe a new business person to reach out to? I know small business is a huge one, and SCORE is a huge one.
Honestly, another great one is your local resources. As like, for instance, I reached out on Facebook. Like, I asked, like, hey, I'm trying to start a small business. I looked at it and I said, at the time I used to be a professional musician, a touring musician in hunting TV shows. So I had like 5,000 people on my Facebook. I said, hey, I asked them a question. Hey, does anybody got any advice? And I thought, man, I'm going to get maybe 2 people. Well, I had like 30 people message me that I would never expect. And they said, hey, if you ever need my help, reach out to me. So what I did is I actually took those guys' names, and on this date, you asked. So when I replied to them later on, I said, back last year in July of June 2nd, you had reached out and said, if we need any help, I know you're a roofer. So do you know of anyone that can do X, Y, or Z? Or I know, like, for instance, I had a guy that was a small carpenter, Scott Fitz. He was a guy that won one of our hunts, and he's like, dude, if you ever need anything. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, man, do you know of anywhere I want to build a sound booth, a vocal booth in my home studio for veterans to come in, because it's not a great recording environment. He's like, well, I got a bunch of leftover material I can donate, and I'll be willing to donate. I'll be willing to build it for free. And if I had never reached out on Facebook, never said, hey, on June 2nd of 2012, you said, do you need any help? It's not so much to say that you said so you're a binding contract, but sometimes people do forget. Hey, last year you told me if I needed anything, reach out. And you know what? A lot of those guys said, yeah, right now is just not a great time. And I say, okay, but please, and you'd be surprised how many said, reach out to me later. Keep track of those names, because I've also had people I reached out to that said, why didn't you ever ask me? Why didn't you ever ask me for help? Our board member, one of our best board members, came to me one time. He says, I'm one of your best friends. Why didn't you ever ask me to be on the board? And I was like, but I just know you're so busy. He's like, it really hurt my feelings, because here I'm such an impact into your life. We're so close, and you never asked me. And I was like, wow. Not that he wasn't qualified. This guy, I thought, was because, he's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company at the time. And I'm like, don't be afraid to ask. Sure. You'll never know. Like, that School of Rock school, somebody thinks, oh, it's just a small little school. Who would have ever thought they would have granted us $5,000? Don't be afraid to ask. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, you will be over blessed if you use your resources. And there ain't a person in any place in America, Alaska included, that doesn't have the use of the Small Business Administration. Everyone says government's bad, but there's a lot of government programs out there that are aimed for small businesses. And everyone says, well, they didn't send me a $5,000 check, or they didn't send me all this money to start my business, because they don't do that. I'm going to tell you what, the education that they teach you, like, for instance, our small business classes taught me how to go out and get money from our community. There was a class on fundraising. I took that class, and through that class, I've probably raised over a period of 5 years, not a lot of money, but like $40,000 over 4 years. So they didn't give me, $500 to start my business. Right now, every person watching this video, if you want to start a business and you are a veteran, until 2020, whatever politicians or put it in play, it's free for veterans. I don't know if you know that. All your corporation documents is free in the state of Texas. Who knew that? They don't advertise that at the VA. They don't say that. I'll tell you, your number one tool is Google. Type in there, what benefits is there for veterans in Comal County, Texas? What benefits are there for use your head. Use something above your head, more than, like my dad used to say, your head's for more than just holding your glasses up. Use it. It's like, I'm creative, like another thing. At one point we were so hurting for money. I wanted to buy these electronic kits that we needed in the studio. We needed preamps. We didn't have any preamps for a certain drum set. So I said, man, how much are they? They were $1,000 each. So I did all this research, and I found this do-it-yourself company that you could buy these kits for $500 for two. So that it's, rather than pay $2,000, it's $500. Then I said, wait a minute, we could get veterans to build them. They're learning how to build stuff. They're getting an education. So what we did is I called out on my Nextdoor app as another one you can use. Nextdoor is nationwide. I typed in there, is there any local people that would sell cookies at Walmart or do bake sales at churches and any kind of fundraisers? And I got like 20 responses, and we raised $612. And I thought, man, $612, I only needed $500. There was shipping, and I didn't have any soldering irons. So we ended up spending $605. I ended up having $7 left over. So I bought the guys jugs of tea and a case of soda. So, we actually used all that $617, whatever we have. And as you watch the videos on my Facebook and stuff, that's what we use the money for. Another good thing is, if you're a nonprofit or business, show videos of what you're doing. Take Facebook shots. If you ask me if I'm helping veterans and I say, yep, we're helping loads of veterans, or if I say, watch my videos so you can watch the veterans being helped. Maybe you get tired of seeing videos after video, but that's proofs in the pudding.
That's very true. So, buddy, kind of in winding up our podcast time today, I did want to ask you kind of a final question, because you told us so much about you and what you have going on, and so the final question I have is kind of a trivia question, if you will. If there's something that you can tell us that most people that know you don't know about you.
Okay. I'm a softie. Most people don't realize that I'm a softie. Little kids choke me up. Seeing a little kid learn something, a lot of people don't know me, but I didn't have a great dad situation as a kid. I had a dad that loved me, but it wasn't great. And when I see fathers connecting with their children, I'll do anything for them. Yep. Anything. I'd practically sell my soul to the devil himself to see a father and son connect. So if you're a kid of a vet and you want to bring your dad to a veteran or one of our things, reach out. I'll make it happen.
Excellent. Okay, and so our listeners are going to need to have ways of getting a hold of you. So, what are some good contact methods for you?
Well, we have a website, www.pathfindersoutdoors.org. Now, when you go to that website, it's mostly hunting because we used to have a hunting ministry, and right now we're in the process of building totally reamping it, but I don't want to give up the website. Facebook, His Little Studio and Mentoring, or Pathfinder Outdoors on Facebook, or me, Buddy Lee Dobberteen, at Facebook. Reach out to me. I mean, I know it's social media. That's how me and you met. There's a lot of great people. If you need help and you watch this podcast and you're thinking, I want to start something in my area, maybe we can team up. I'm willing to help you to franchise what I'm doing in your area. I'll give you night or day. You know, if you want to help a veteran, I'll help you.
Excellent. Well, buddy, it's been a pleasure and honor having you on the program, and thank you for all that you're doing for the veteran community. And I know that there's lots of lives that are being changed here, and so I just wish you the best of luck with your program and the ministry that you have going on there.
Thank you so much. It's been a real honor for me to get to meet you, and hopefully after this get to know you personally. Sure. It's this is the only way it's going to grow, is for us to help one another. Thank you so much for what you do.
It's my pleasure, and I'm just up here in Dallas, so reach out. We'll make stuff happen.
Awesome.
Okay, bud. I'll see you around the bend, my friend.
All right, take care.
You too.
Hasta luego. How do I shut this off? There we go.
You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world. You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world.